Let's break down 4 environmental causes for BPD, with the 4th one being the most common. Millions of people meet criteria for BPD, borderline personality disorder, and those are just the ones who've been diagnosed. It doesn't count those who suffer in silence. Some sources say that the disorder affects women and men equally, and that men are just less likely to report it or seek treatment for it. It's also estimated that women account for up to 65% of patients in treatment. So in other videos, I've talked about the 4 causes of BPD as brain anomalies, genetics, problems with brain chemicals, and environmental factors. So in this video, I'm responding to people asking for more information about the environmental factors specifically that may contribute to the development of BPD. So let's first define what that is. So environmental factors are the social and cultural factors that are part of a person's upbringing, specifically any trauma they've been exposed to. So factors like these are particularly powerful if they occur before the age of 6 because of the brainwave state we're in up until that point. I'll talk more about this in an online training, but suffice it to say that we are more susceptible to the influence of others during that time. I call these environmental factors the 4 A's of upbringing: adversity, attachment issues, abandonment, and abuse. So let's dissect those. So adversity refers to various difficulties or misfortune that a person may be exposed to while growing up. This could be a child who's raised by a parent with BPD who learns to behave in the same way. Or there may also be some genetics at work here as well, of course, but I'm referring to the mimicking of observable behavior that children are so good at, whether we like it or not. That notion of children learn what they live. So adversity could also refer to growing up in a house with domestic violence or other forms of a tumultuous relationship between parental figures or other caregivers the children are exposed to. Number 2 is attachment, and that's an aspect of the parent-child relationship that relates specifically to whether a child feels safe and secure, whether they feel protected and comforted by the actions of their parent. Attachments with the primary caregiver generally develop within the first 18 months or so of a child's life. And the 4 types of attachment include just 1 secure form and 3 insecure forms: avoidant, anxious, and disorganized. Avoidant is also known as dismissive. Anxious is also referred to as preoccupied, ambivalent, or resistant. And disorganized is also described as fearful. So you may see those terms used interchangeably. But attachment issues could speak to attachment with either parent, but the role of the mother, especially very early on, seems to play a larger role than that of the father. So early interactions between mothers and infants are essential for the formation of a secure mother-child relationship and for a child's early emotional well-being. Maternal unresponsiveness and negativity, as well as maternal separation for a week or more very early in life, have been linked to attachment issues. Number 3 is abandonment, and this is based on perception. It can refer to actual parental abandonment, where a parent physically leaves and doesn't return to the family home, or it could be significant absence due to addiction, infidelity, etc. It could also refer to parental death or the out-of-home placement of a child. I'm sure I'm going to get the question about a parent who works a lot or often travels for work. And I would say that this could go either way. It really depends on how the parent is when they are around. So when they're home, are they an active and involved parent? Sometimes parents have to travel for work. That's just the way it goes. But when they're home, do they spend time with their kids, show appropriate affection and connection, take an active role in discipline and other parenting requirements, things like that? If so, the attachment to that parent will generally be secure, so the perception of abandonment isn't present. Of course, there are exceptions, but you get the idea. And 4th is abuse. Abuse can take many forms: psychological, emotional, physical, sexual. That's just to name a few. Now, when it comes to BPD, physical and sexual are the most commonly seen forms of abuse in patient histories. But there could also be emotional or psychological abuse, such as parental insensitivity or invalidating, conflictual, or otherwise unstable parent-child relationships. Neglect is a form of abuse where a caregiver fails to care for someone who's unable to care for themselves. It can be a result of carelessness, unwillingness, inability, or indifference. Of course, the more of these contributors a person has, theoretically, the more likely they'll be to have BPD. By the same token, I've seen people grow up with a parent with BPD and not manifest the disorder themselves. This could be because the other parent or family members were stable enough forces in the relationship to offset the actions of the parent with BPD or some other reason. But other times I've seen adults who grew up in very tumultuous households who vowed not to be anything like their parents, and they have found different ways to think and behave. So they've made that choice to not do as they were raised. Regardless of how a person develops BPD, there is hope through good treatment that involves trauma work if needed, and DBT or another form of treatment aimed at addressing issues of emotional dysregulation and distress tolerance. Keep fighting until you find a good connection with a skilled therapist. No matter the origins of your BPD, there is hope and you can get better.